Hello, welcome back to another video on Fantasy Football Scout. I'm joined by Gianni as always to go through his team selection as we head into game week 4. And it was an interesting week, wouldn't you say, Gianni?
Interesting is one word. Yeah.
Not. I was just saying before we came on to film this, it was probably not the best time to start doing this kind of video. I had the same thing when I started making videos. I had my worst when I first went on the Scoutcast. I had my worst season. Like it's just one of those things. It's like a curse of coming on to Fantasy Football Scout. How you feeling after last week? We'll go through your score in a minute, but how you feeling right now?
Do you know what? I'm actually all right considering. Like, of course, it's my nightmare start has continued, but I'm looking at my team and I really like it. It's not, I've used the worst thing you can do after a wild card is look at your team and go, I want to make wholesale changes. I genuinely feel like I'm going to be settled on this. I just need that. I'm not going to use the L word because, that's a cop out, but I just need things to start going my way a bit.
Yeah, I was the same last year. Everyone was hitting their wild card, and I was looking at my team thinking I could make some changes, but I'm okay with it. Yeah, it's just one of those things. Sometimes you look at your team and think it's going to score 100 points, and it only ends up scoring 30 or 40. So basically, as always, we're going to go through how Gianni did last week. So he's not checked his rank, and if anyone remembers who's been watching these every week, last week I said the good thing is it can only get better. Well, it's actually got worse. So your previous team, I think you said would have scored about 50 points, right? The one before your wild
plus. I think it was about 55. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So your wild card scored 26, and that was a red arrow. So you're now 5,017,000th basically, and 880 as well. So yeah, a red arrow. But I mean, I guess the only plus side is the ranks are still fairly close points wise. Although I looked last week at how far behind the number one I was. And I was already like 100 and something points. It's absolutely ridiculous. So now it's probably like 150 plus. But we've got chips and stuff that have already been used. So yeah, I guess try and talk us through what happened last week.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've taken a massive gamble by not covering Liverpool. And please don't look at my team and think that I'm naive enough to not want Liverpool players going forward. Like the plan was, because it's a wild card, I could get rid with the aim of bringing a few back. And to be fair, it's not like Salah went crazy last night. So what I needed was I was overly reliant on City and arguably Wolves and, a few other players, Werner, Son, players that were meant to do well, just didn't. So, yeah, I mean, I ended up having returns from Martinez and Dominic Calvert-Lewin. They were the only two. If I'd kept my original team, I'd have had Mounts 12 points. I'd have had Shea Adams. I'd have had McCarthy. Players, it was a bad decision for 1 week, but moving forward, I genuinely don't think we can judge a wild card off 1 week. And I do look at my team and I'm seeing loads of positive stuff from it. So yeah, it's not a great season for me to be doing these videos, but I do think that come game week 10, we can be talking about my journey back towards the top 1%, which is where I always seem to finish. So hopefully I get there. But it has been the worst start I've ever had.
A lot of people are in the same boat though, especially after game week 3. Like a lot of people wildcarded, and it wouldn't necessarily have been exactly the same team, but there would have been a lot of Man City, a lot of Wolves, potentially taking out players like McCarthy and Adams. Like they would have been long gone. That's one of the reasons I didn't wildcard, because I didn't want to get rid of those players for 2 weeks, knowing that later on maybe I will and I might have to take a bit of a money hit. But yeah, I think the one good thing about this stage of the season is you can quickly get up the ranks very easily. All it takes is for your team to have a stormer, and suddenly all those non-wildcard teams maybe look a little bit weaker. And yeah, it's just fingers crossed. But yeah, I mean, who would have predicted 4-0 for West Ham? I mean, they did do really well against Arsenal, but there's no way I expect them to score 4 goals. What the hell happened to Wolves, do you think?
I know, we all saw Wolves against Man City, and despite them losing, we thought they looked really good. And we also thought Man City looked really good. So we're happy to invest in their assets. And then City disappointed us. Wolves disappointed us. It does make me think West Ham are actually way stronger than perhaps we give them credit for. And when you look at their post-lockdown form, they were really good too. So West Ham is a team we should be looking at. But yeah, back to the rank stuff, Andy. I look at it and go, the benefit of my team now, and I'm just only seeing positives. I'm all about the positive vibes at the moment. I need that for my own headspace. But I'm looking at my team going, from all the managers that I respect out there, from the good sort of pros in the community, I look at my team and know it's very different to them, and I like that. That's a way of me jumping rank very quickly. So yeah, I'm fairly happy despite having terrible weeks. I can't remember anything like them. I had Son, who I bought in, who hit the woodwork twice and pulled a hammy after 45 minutes.
That was so harsh.
A break.
Yeah, I mean, what I don't know. That's just one of those things. Like FPL is really hard sometimes because these things do. It's bad enough like if Son had got nothing and gone off after 45 and everything else had been okay, let alone everything else going wrong at the same time. Like, it's just one of those things in FPL. You just have to tell yourself. Like, I know you didn't want to use the L word, but that's unlucky. Son going off after 45 minutes, that is unlucky. You know, Wolves 4-0 out of nowhere. That's a little bit unlucky. Players like Werner and stuff, I mean, some of us were already worried about him anyway, and we'll talk about him in a second, but it's not very often that Man City, De Bruyne, Foden and Sterling are all going to blank in one game week, right? So, yeah, I mean, surely next week is a green arrow. It has to be, right? We'll talk about it now.
Has to be. It has to be with my team as well, because I've gone big on City and they have Leeds. Now, surely that's a goal fest. That's going to be the same as Liverpool Leeds on the opening day. Oh, okay, Leeds may have kept a clean sheet against Sheffield United, but Sheffield United don't score many, and they caused Leeds a few problems, like a couple of worldy saves from the Leeds keeper. I don't know how Lundstrom didn't score from 8 yards out. So yeah, that's got to be a goal fest, right?
I would imagine so. We'll have to wait and see. I mean, Meslier was so good against Sheffield United. That was one of the reasons they didn't concede, because he put up so many saves. So, yeah, you'd imagine City to bounce back. There is a part of me, as a De Bruyne owner, now I've only got one, so maybe it's not such a concern, but I just wonder how much they might struggle without a proper centre forward there. Like, I've talked about this before, all this false 9, you know, Foden playing 9, Sterling 9, whatever you want to say. But actually, just having a Jesus or Aguero in there is probably quite a bit of a difference maker. But they've got a good run of fixtures now, so I don't think you can judge them after just Leicester, especially when Leicester are actually a pretty good team as well. Their defence is not that bad, so even without Ndidi. So, yeah, obviously you're set up there for a big score against Leeds. I'll ask you about some of the players you've got in your team, what your thoughts are. Let's start with Werner, because that's now 3 games and just 1 assist. I don't know what you put that down to. Ziyech and Pulisic, are they going to be back this week? I don't think they're going to be. The most we can expect now is a bench against Crystal Palace, I think, and potentially coming on for 10 or 15. International break is probably going to be the time when they fully recover, or at least get into a point where they can play. What's your thoughts on Werner? What's going wrong? You scored 3 goals. Nothing for him.
Yeah. Do you know what? He did go down for the penalty, which of course Jorginho missed. So we could be looking at Werner with 2 assists and it wouldn't be that bad. But I think what the problem is for those that watched him against West Brom, as I did, you look and think, okay, he hit the bar. But other than that, doesn't look like scoring. He doesn't look like he's found his best position yet. Doesn't look like Frank has found the best position for him yet. Saying that, he could easily have 2 assists. He's got 1, and he did hit the bar. You know, he scored that, and he's probably getting bonus points as well. So it could be very different. I'm certainly giving him time. I'm not jumping off him yet. I know he's dropping in price. I do think Werner's going to be better against stronger opposition that play a higher line. Not necessarily stronger opposition, but teams like Brighton on the opening day, we all watched Werner then, and when he looks really good, there's loads of space running behind. But against West Brom, who are parking the bus playing deep, he doesn't want to play that game. He wants to get in behind. So against Palace, I am slightly concerned because Uncle Roy and his boys will be the same as West Brom. They'll be really deep. There'll be 10 men behind the ball. And Werner will struggle because all he wants to do, and does seem a bit of a one-trick pony, which I'm fine with. You need someone like this. He wants to get in behind all the time. So, yeah, I'm not expecting massive things from Werner this week, but I am keeping him in.
Out of interest, you've already got Jimenez, so a lot of people have made the Werner to Jimenez move, so you're probably you're not worried about that. What will make you shift him on? What's going to have to happen over the next couple of games where you think actually it's just no go really? Because he's 9.4 million, he's not cheap.
Yeah. I think if he blanks against Palace and doesn't pass the eye test against Palace, 2 of those things need to happen. I think I'll probably sell in the international break. If he blanks and looks good, maybe I give him another week. Or if he looks good and blanks, possibly another week. But I am thinking I need something from him. I need to see something.
What have you got? I know it's a bit early on, obviously, if you're not thinking of selling until next week, but have you got any kind of early thoughts about who could come in? Like, is it Danny Ings or going up to Vardy, or what's your thinking?
Yeah, no, it's Ings. And what's really frustrating is I was an Ings owner, sold him after game week 1 for Martial. I made that move that a lot made. And to be honest, I have looked at Martial and thought, if he comes good, that could be another good switch. Like, I am trying not to chase last week's points, which we're all often guilty of as FPL managers, but there is a lot of options up front. I don't think I'll be going up to a Vardy. I need more than just the penalty appeal. The amount of touches he's having, that penalty run cannot surely be sustainable long term. So yeah, possibly downgrading. I actually like the look of a few really budget options as well. Morpie, I like Ollie Watkins at Villa, hasn't started scoring yet, but honestly, he will start scoring, and Villa look good, which I like. So, you know, the plan has always been to get Liverpool assets in again, just not yet. From game week 6, I want Liverpool. And to do that, I need to sell 1 or 2 big names if I'm going to get a Salah or a Robbo at the back. Getting Salah, a Trent or a Robbo, getting Salah's easy. Sterling to Salah was always a switch I was going to make and still will eventually make. But to be able to upgrade my defence, I need to sell a Werner to a budget. Or I've got the Son injury. So Son could become a 5.5 or a 6, and then I've got all the money in the world to upgrade my defence 2 weeks down the line if I need to. And that is a transfer that I might make this week. I'm not 100% sure what I'm doing, but if I do make one, it will be Son out. It just depends how long he's going to be out for. I'm waiting for Mourinho press conferences.
Yeah, I mean, it's a hamstring injury, so you'd think at least a couple of weeks. But with the international break, that might only be one game week. Yeah. Would you keep if he's just out for this week? Are you happy to then keep him over the international break?
Yeah, I am, because I've owned Son since he was 8.9, and because he dropped in price last night, which is Sunday night if you're watching this on Wednesday. Monday night if you're watching it on Wednesday. I can afford another price drop on Son and I still won't lose any money. So I had the option of transferring him out on Monday night. I decided against it because I didn't know his replacement. So I lost out on the 0.1 there. But after United, game week 4, game week 5 isn't until the 17th of October. And if indications show he might be all right, well, he's got a lovely run of fixtures. He's got West Ham, Burnley, Brighton, West Brom. That's a beautiful set of 4 fixtures. So I am reluctant to sell him unless I have to. And also, my starting 11 looks all right this week. So, yeah, I could sell Son, and I have got my eye on 3 potential replacements for Son if I decide to pull the trigger, if it looks like he's going to be out longer. Those 3 are Trossard. You know, he looked brilliant against United. I just don't know if I want 2 Brighton players in my starting 11. Lamptey will be in that 11 most weeks. Souček, who's always been on my radar, I just want that horrible fixture spell to go, but he looks like he could score against anyone. And then Podence, if he's fit for that Fulham fixture, it's going all in on Wolves, but having the Podence Jimenez double up could be quite tasty. But I do think Wolves are going to buy someone. They're being linked with some good players, and they've still got that Jota money to spend. And I do think there's going to be a front 3 player coming into that squad by the transfer deadline. And that could mean a front 3 of Adama, Jimenez, and whoever they buy, linked with Thomas Lemar today, for example. They've been linked with Costa at Juve in the past. And I just worry moving forward, Podence might not be a mainstay in that starting 11, whilst Trossard and Souček are.
Do you have, just quickly on Wolves, right? Do you have any concerns? Because Chelsea, I think one of the issues is, this is what I'm guilty of. I thought Werner was going to click from the start. And look, on another season, maybe he would have. But also, I probably overlooked how many players have come into that side, how many players weren't fit to start. And like Chelsea certainly don't have their first choice 11 fit yet. And Wolves is very similar. Like, I wasn't, from a defensive point of view, I wasn't really worried about Gianni and Doherty because I knew they'd get players to fit in. But actually, Vinagre hasn't looked good. Saiss has looked a bit dodgy at the back. Obviously, they don't have Jota anymore. Do you think it's just taken a bit of getting used to them, or do you think last week was just an anomaly and it's just not going to happen again?
I think it's just going to take time to gel. I think Adama being out of position for the first couple of game weeks really didn't help Jimenez. And I know Jimenez got goals and got points, but Adama in a front 3 and his combination play with Jimenez is so important. And I do think Podence will fit in nicely to that front 3 system, or maybe even short term. But against Sheffield United, against Man City, Podence looked so good. It just probably needs a little bit of time to gel, linking up with the midfield. And remember, Nuno is playing the 3-4-3, and the 3-5-2 does give that extra man in midfield to make them a little bit more solid. So he's going a little bit more gung-ho. He's going for a little bit more flair and a bit more attack. And because of that, we might see Wolves conceding a few more chances, a few more goals. But yeah, the fixtures are great. I mean, Fulham next up. Fulham looked like the worst defence in the league this weekend. They looked worse than West Brom. So surely Jimenez returns this week.
Yeah, yeah, it looks good. I mean, it'd be again, it could be another West Ham result, but I doubt it. It just looks too good to ignore. So the fact you got Jimenez in there looks pretty good already. And obviously, if you do any of those Son moves, it gives you a lot of money to spend elsewhere. So if you want, I mean, Robertson and Trent, you got. I guess well, obviously you did watch the match last night on Monday because you were watching it for match day. Pretty impressed with those two. Like when I watched them, I already own one. I'm already thinking about how I get the other one. To be honest, what about you?
Do you remember, was it this time last week, my wildcard drafts? Yeah, we skimmed over it, but I had two drafts. I had one with no Liverpool and I had one with the two Liverpool defenders with Trent and Robbo. And the reason I wanted them was because I don't think any midfielder at 7 million is going to outperform those two guys. But the benefit of the wildcard is you can bring players out short term and still look to bring them in later. And that still is the plan with one of them. Look, do I want both? Maybe, but I don't know who I'm willing to sacrifice yet. So I'm not planning on that. Like, I still genuinely believe City are going to go big and put some big wins together. And if I'm on Triple City, and yes, that means perhaps because I'm on Triple City, I don't get double Liverpool defence or double Liverpool players, I'm willing to take that risk for a couple of game weeks.
And that will just finish off on a defender as we're talking about defence. What are you making of Reece James? Like, because Alonso obviously made some mistakes. Reece James wasn't perfect either in that West Brom game. But I mean, the one thing that would kind of make me happier if I was an owner is that Lampard didn't really talk about him afterwards. It was all about how bad Alonso was. Thiago Silva, he doesn't make those mistakes very often. I think we can just put that down to whatever, just one of those things. But do you think there's any chance Reece James comes out of the squad? And even more importantly, even if he doesn't, where are the clean sheets coming from for Chelsea at the moment?
It was what was good about that West Brom display for Chelsea was it was three individual errors, and it wasn't like West Brom were all over us creating loads of opportunities. So look, you cut those three errors out, and it's a comfortable clean sheet. You put a good goalkeeper in, you get a back four that play a little bit together, and I do hope that those clean sheets will come. But let's not forget, Reece James is in our teams for attacking returns. You know, he got a bonus point in a game where he conceded 3 goals and got a yellow card and didn't get a goal or an assist, and he still got a bonus point. The guy was crossing for fun. He was really advanced. If Tammy Abraham could hit a barn door, James gets 2 assists. Like, again, it was just one of those. So the Crystal Palace fixture's a good one. Palace don't often create a huge amount, although Zaha does look like a man possessed at the moment, looking for his transfers. He always does when the window's open. And then after that, it's Southampton, United, Burnley, and Sheffield United. Again, it's a good set of fixtures for a 5 million defender that surely is going to get some assists. But look, if Chelsea don't keep a clean sheet in the next 2 or 3, that Liverpool defender might be coming in for Reece James rather than one of my enablers.
Fair enough. Yeah, I love the idea of Reece James. I may even bring it. Like, sounds crazy, but even after conceding the 3, I may even bring him in this week for my own team. But yeah, I think you're looking good for this week. I mean, I said it last week. I'm going to say it again. It has to be a green arrow. There's no way this is a 5 million ranked squad, even with all the chips flying about. So yeah, I wish you the best of luck. Are you definitely stuck on De Bruyne captain? Not going to switch to like Jimenez or Sterling?
Yeah, do you know what? I'm not set on De Bruyne at all. It's between De Bruyne and Jimenez for me. I'm not thinking of Sterling because I really don't like Sterling playing in the 9 role, and I don't know if he will play in the 9 role because he didn't do very well in that position last time out. But I am tempted on Jimenez after seeing how leaky Fulham are. I do think Scott Parker's neck could be on the line in the international break if they're really bad again after the Tony Khan tweets. Knowing Wolves, I think Wolves haven't got a fixture in the Carabao Cup as well, so Jimenez gets the week off. So, you know, I am 50-50 there, and actually maybe I've learnt my lesson from overcommitting to City with 3 players and captaincy. It's like a quadruple up, and I don't know if that's a little bit. I don't know if I can afford all those risks.
It's just the big score, isn't it? Like, yeah, you can see De Bruyne and Sterling getting a big score. I feel like Jimenez's limit is 2 goals, and that's the absolute most you're getting. I don't know. I'd be very tempted if I had this team to captain Sterling or De Bruyne, I think. So it'd be interesting to see what you end up going with.
Yeah, I want to see how City get on in the week as well. Like, just see KDB's in good shape. Hopefully, he doesn't get 90. So yeah, a lot of the midweek fixtures will play a part into both my transfer plans if I do transfer Son out, but also who I give the captaincy to.
Cool, good stuff. Well, we'll be back again next week to see how it goes. So if you enjoyed this video, give it a like and hit that subscribe button. I should do a quick shout out to our members area as well. So if you haven't already checked it out, you can see from all the stuff on the screen, there's all your stats from Opta, loads of articles, loads of tools and stuff as well. There's a link in the description below if you want to get that checked out and to sign up as well. Gianni, thanks very much for joining me as always.
Thank you for having me. I look forward to being back next week with some good news. And when I talk good news, Andy, I want like
at least 30 points.
Rank
at least 30 points next week.
Jesus, have I broken 30 in the last fortnight? I don't think I have I?
It's got to come this week. Look, I'm sure you'll do it. We'll find out next Wednesday. We'll be back and we will see you again then. Cheers all.